Shalom, shalom everybody. Welcome back to another Pulse of Israel, Israel at War update. Not in our ancestral homelands or even the biblical ancestral Judean hills, but in beautiful South Florida. Still here, talking, meeting to people, trying to make a difference for the Jewish people in the land of Israel. From here, before I return home to put back my uniform on and join the war effort on the battlefront of the actual battle defending the Jewish people in the land of Israel. All right, here's what's going on with the war. First of all, a sad update. One of the latest murdered IDF soldiers in the battle in Gaza is someone I know personally, a friend of one of my sons, and just the continuation of the price we are paying as a Jewish people living in our ancestral homeland for the insane immorality that the moral, enlightened Western world places upon us. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but it looks as if Israel is doing less air bombings to destroy buildings and sending more IDF soldiers in on the ground to risk their lives without potentially causing other damage. And my guess is that this is coming because of pressure from the Biden administration, if not other governments as well, who are very possibly pressuring Israel to minimize civilian casualties as much as possible, and if not, pressuring Israel to withhold support, ammunition, guns, support of the United Nations, condemnations, etc., etc., etc. Do I know any of this for sure? I do not. Is it plausible? Very plausible. I mean, I don't know how much you understand what's going on in Washington, D.C. at the moment, but there is basically a rebellion going on in the lower ranks of the White House and State Department officials, if not other officials in Congressman's office, rebelling against Biden's support of Israel in this war. So literal rebellion of the lower ranks. What that means practically in terms of the war effort, or in terms of Washington's support of Israel in this war, or if its support is waning, no clue. But just understand, this is what is happening in the Democratic Party today, turning anti-Israel. And meaning how much, so who knows if the Democratic congressmen who are vocally being supportive of Israel are truly being supportive of Israel. Because on the one hand, they were at the rally voicing support for Israel at the war effort, but yet the next day, or that same day, I don't remember, they voted against the bill to provide funds for Israel. Because the Democrats, under President Biden, they want to ensure that Ukraine also gets money, and the only way they're going to get the Republicans to vote for the Ukraine money is if they tie it with Israel money. While the Republicans say, no, Israel gets money, we don't want to give any more money to Ukraine, or something along those lines. So it's really, really bad that the Democrats are tying Israeli funding for this war effort to Ukrainian funding. It's two different wars, it's two different purposes, there's no connection between the two. The American people are getting hoodwinked to think that they're similar, and because of the corruption of Ukraine, and the Biden corruption of Ukraine. Biden gets kickbacks. Biden family gets kickbacks. So many Americans get kickbacks from the Ukraine funding. So people think, oh, because the Ukraine war is corrupt, then also the Israel is. So that's the situation that's taking place in Washington, and who knows what impact this is having on U.S. support of Israel in this war, in us trying to get rid of the evil that we're up against. And unfortunately, we pay the price with our lives, the life of this young soldier who I know personally, my son's friend, because we're trying to be so careful, in an immoral way. Immoral, according to the rules of law. Hamas is using its citizens as human shields. Israel has said, everyone leave, we're bombing this area. If there are any civilians in that area, they pay the price, and it's Hamas's fault, not Israel's fault, but the enlightened, moral Western world places the blame on Israel for any damage done. So Israel, I guess, is trying to minimize that, and our soldiers have to risk their lives for no purpose because we have an air force that could get rid of all those neighborhoods, as it has been doing up until now, even though not as much as it even should be doing. And now we're doing it even less. So that's with that. Going even further, you all know I've spoken about this before. President Biden and his administration have basically stated that at the end of this war, they're going to hand over Gaza to the Palestinian Authority. That same Palestinian Authority that pays terrorists, that it uses its television programming to educate children to kill Jews, that uses its educational programming in schools to kill Jews, that its officials praised the massacre, that one of its own military forces took part in the massacre. Yes, that Palestinian Authority, the Biden administration wants to give over power in Gaza, using Israel, the IDF, as an outsourced militia to get rid of Hamas, to just hand over Hamas to another Nazi entity called the Palestinian Authority. Well, the other day, Mahmoud Abbas publicly said that the massacre was not at the result of Hamas, but it was Israel and the IDF helicopters that massacred the Jews at that Simchat Torah music festival taking place. Did you hear that? Mahmoud Abbas not only has not called out the horrible massacre, not only not called out Hamas for doing that horrible massacre, he is blaming Israel for the massacre. The leader of the Palestinian Authority that Biden wants to give control over in Gaza. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu basically said straight out, whoever is in charge of Gaza cannot be anyone who supports terror, who funds terror, basically telling the Biden administration, forget about handing the Palestinian Authority control over Gaza. So now the Biden administration, and even with some Israeli politicians on the left in Israel, they're using a new language. They're trying to whitewash the Palestinian Authority. A new, revamped Palestinian Authority will get the power. They think people are stupid? There is no revamping the Palestinian Authority. You know, as I've said this before, the Palestinian Authority is a paper tiger. They have no power. They're propped up on a piece of paper because America and Israel give them money. They haven't had election for 17 years because they know Hamas will win, because the people think like Hamas. The Palestinian Authority is basically a front for Hamas, just allowing other corrupt individuals to get all of the money and make themselves rich, while they allow the people in Judea and Samaria while they educate the people in Judea and Samaria to hate Jews and want to kill Jews. There is no Palestinian Authority. All the people there, they support Hamas and support doing another genocide and massacring Jews. So they're going to revamp the Palestinian Authority. That's the new language of the Biden administration. Israeli people aren't going to buy it. No matter how much the Biden administration tries to push this two-state solution again and push the Palestinian Authority down our throats, the Israeli people won't have it. The Israeli people want to get rid of the enemy within our midst. That's not just in Gaza, but they're in Judea and Samaria. They're on our northern border, and even including Israeli Arab citizens as well who support killing Jews. That's it. The Israeli people have had it. And we're under extreme pressure, and I do not want to be Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to know how he's making the decisions he's making, because the Biden administration is stopping us from ending this evil, which shows how evil the Biden administration is. No matter how much support they are giving us, they are not allowing us to end this evil. They want this evil to continue and be a Trojan horse and a thorn in our side to continue killing us. So it's basically the Biden administration saying, oh, Jewish blood continues to be cheap despite the massacre we just experienced, and the Israeli people waking up and realizing how barbaric our enemies really are, and we have to get rid of them. So that's with that. Now I want to jump into the whole really unfortunate hostage situation. The IDF is getting more and more information that the hospital, the Shifa hospital, not only is it used as by Hamas to hide their headquarters underground in the tunnels, and not only is it used to hide fighters who run around in Hamas fighters running around in the hospital, so they're protecting Hamas fighters, but Shifa hospital allowed the hostages to be taken in the hospital. Hamas brought hostages into the hospital. The doctors and nurses there saw the hostages, saw them. These are people who are supposed to believe in the Hippocratic Oath. They saw the hostages. They were there being run through the hallways by Hamas terrorists. The hospital in and of itself is a Hamas terror zone that they use as a PR agenda to bash Israel around the world. But the doctors and nurses in that hospital, maybe not all of them, but enough of them, and I'm sure the administration, know and knew about the hostages. They might even know where the hostages are. Those are doctors and nurses. You're talking about an evil. These are people who are supposed to save lives, and they're involved in the horror and the terror of our enemies. They are no different than Hamas terrorists. Maybe some of them are, but in general, we see the evil is there even within the medical professionals and that official hospital, which we see is more a building shield for Hamas in many, many ways. And unfortunately, the Hamas is still using the hostages as psychological pressure. Who knows how many are alive? Please God, they should all be alive. Please God, we should save them all. But unfortunately, the movement to free the hostages, they are being led by anti-government forces. Not all of them, but plenty of them. And the fact that they're saying release them at any price. Haven't we learned the lesson? We know this has taken place, and even the left understands this massacre has taken place. It was led by the terrorists who were released in the Gilad Shalit deal. The same left, the same media, put a PR campaign and pressured the whole country to release those prisoners because any price to get Gilad Shalit released years ago. So that's it, 1,000 prisoners. We were publicly shamed that we must release 1,000+ prisoners to get Gilad Shalit free. Those Hamas prisoners are now the ones who led the massacre on Simchat Torah, and now the same far left, disconnected, anti-Jewish state of Israel leadership are now pressuring this government to once again do everything, pay any price immediately to release the hostages. They don't. Forget about the fact forget about the moral issue. On a basic, real politic issue, you do not say you're willing to give any price for something from an evil entity. The second you say you're able to give any price, they know they can blackmail you for anything and give you nothing. You have to have a poker face, especially dealing with evil people. You say, no, we're going to beat you. You want us to stop fighting. You want us to stop destroying your communities. Stop having your people having to run away from their homes. Free your hostages. You want food. You want fuel. Free the hostages. Put the pressure on them to free the hostages. Don't let them know that we're willing to do everything and that you're pressuring the Israeli government to do anything immediately to free the hostages. That makes it even harder to get the hostages freed. And honestly, one of the best solutions the state of Israel should be implementing, and I've always said this from a different perspective, Israel does have a death penalty for terrorists. It never uses it. And the public mindset is that we don't have a death penalty. I think we really do. Now, I always said the death penalty won't make a difference in terms of deterrence, of deterring terror, because they are taught to be martyrs. They want to die. So killing them just turns them into martyrs. So it's not a deterrence factor. But what does the death penalty of terrorists actually accomplish? It allows us to kill the potential usage of a prisoner swap. Because if all the terrorists are given the death penalty and killed, then if they have our hostages, they can't demand their terrorists in our prisons to be released. So the importance of implementing the death penalty against Hamas terrorists is to ensure we take away that poker card from them, that they never think that if they kidnap Israelis, whether innocent civilians or IDF soldiers, that they can use that to pressure Israeli society and to force us to release their terrorists from Israeli jails. That's the importance of Israel implementing the death penalty. All right? Anyway, I got to get going. That's today's update from the war. Thank you for joining me. I can't wait to be home in Israel. If you are not yet a subscriber to my Pulse of Israel videos and daily podcast, go to pulseofisrael.com and click to subscribe. And if you like these videos and want more people to be able to see them, then please just click on the donate button on pulseofisrael.com. Give us whatever money, big or small, to then allow us to promote these and our other videos to be seen by many more people. Signing off from beautiful southern Florida, off to some more speaking engagements and more meetings to make a difference for the Jewish people in the land of Israel. And in the meantime, shalom, shalom, shalom. With it all, everyone, we are winning. We will win. despite the constraints, despite even the Biden administration tying our hands behind our back and not truly allowing us to beat our enemies and protect ourselves, we're going to win this. Remember, God's above. There's a special Hebrew saying, Yeshuat Hashem keheref ayin. God's salvation is like the blinking of an eyelid. We don't know where it's going to come from. We don't know how it's going to happen. But as long as we're together, as we're connected with ourselves doing the right thing, God is going to do his part and help us win, despite the geopolitical hardships, even from our allies. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Pulse of Israel, frontline videos from the Holy Land. Support our work by donating today.